I'm Jeff.
And I'm Casey. In this episode of When Traveling to Costa Rica, we take you to the Monteverde Cloud Forest Biological Preserve.
We'll be sharing tons of information and tips for when you plan your own adventure to this remarkable outpost of scientific discovery and sustainability.
Have your dreams ever whisked you away to tropical jungles filled with exotic plants, vibrant flowers, and rare animals? Our family spent months anticipating and planning our adventure to Costa Rica. Now we had arrived, and we're discovering for ourselves the amazing natural wonders of the northern Costa Rican provinces of Alajuela and Guanacaste. In this episode, we'll show you glimpses of our journey as we slowly uncovered the richness hidden within the Monteverde Cloud Forest. We'll relish in the handiwork of our imaginative creator as our senses are caressed by the earthy smells of the damp, decomposing jungle floor, the alluring songs of mysterious birds, the soothing, cool mist as we walked among the clouds, and the explosion of living colors as we peered through the jungle canopy across deep gorges. It was a taste of paradise which the mind could never fully embrace without being there, immersed in the moment.
While we were truly mystified by our experience in the Monteverde Cloud Forest, the day was already set to be pretty spectacular as we awoke to our first morning in the northern hills of Nuevo Arenal. Being from Louisiana and accustomed to a hot, humid climate, we would typically be concerned by a house with no air conditioning. However, we quickly realized it wasn't needed.
At nearly 2,500 feet into the clouds, we slept each night with all the large windows upstairs and downstairs open for the cool breezes. This set the perfect stage for waking up to our first peaceful tropical rain shower.
After spending a relaxing early morning listening to the rain, we set out on the 3-hour drive from Nuevo Arenal south through the twisting, winding roads along the southern Guanacaste mountain chain. Fortunately, we left our house early enough to see the thick clouds which cloaked the hills and mountains burn off under the heat of the rising sun. This drive was absolutely spectacular and filled our little rental car with oohs and ahs more than once.
Along the way, we noticed the small bakery, Panaderia Jimenez. Since we weren't in a big hurry, we pulled in and took the opportunity to enjoy an assortment of fresh baked pastries and breads. We highly recommend stopping in here if you ever find yourself in this area. We were on Highway 606, roughly halfway between the areas of Los Tornos, Guanacaste, and Perro Negro, Punta Arenas.
Before heading into the jungle, we'd like to share with you just how special the Monteverde cloud forest is. While we were there, we learned that Monteverde is considered one of the most important places to visit before it disappears. The Monteverde cloud forest is considered one of Costa Rica's 7 natural wonders.
And we learned why very quickly. In the early 1900s, the Monteverde area was sparsely populated by Creoles who worked in gold mines in the region.
In the 1950s, the modern-day Monteverde was actually founded by a group of pacifist Quakers whose conscientious objections to the Korean War led them to the Costa Rican area in order to defy the American government at the time.
They were dodging the draft. With the cool climate and fertile land of the area and Costa Rica's own non-violent, army-free government, Monteverde made the perfect location for the Quakers' dairy farming.
Straddling Costa Rica's continental divide at nearly 5,000 feet, the Monteverde Cloud Forest Reserve was born from a vision of a collection of scientists and the Quaker community who loved this special land and wanted to see its natural beauty preserved for future generations.
From 1968 into the early 1970s, the groundwork was laid, and by 1975, the reserve started seeing its first visitors. Today, the 26,000-acre reserve hosts more than 90,000 visitors annually to enjoy the experience of sustainable, natural ecotourism and conservation.
As we continue exploring, we're going to share some tips and information that you'll want to know before you go.
To book and plan your trip, you can visit cloudforestmonteverde.com.
So the information we're actually going to share in this particular video really focuses on the area at the main gate of the cloud forest. There are miles and miles or kilometers and kilometers of trails that you can go explore on your own, but we chose to actually visit pretty close to the gate and the area that's the most commonly trafficked area in the entire park. So first, let's talk a little bit about booking and pricing and things like that. You'll have several options to actually choose from when you get ready to book your trip or plan your trip when visiting the Monteverde Cloud Forest
And we're
Reserve.
going to share all the options and we'll let you know what we did exactly.
Right. First, they offer overnight, per night lodging options actually on the reserve. This includes 3 meals, the entrance to the reserve. Also, it includes parking. I'm not sure where the parking exactly is. I don't know if it's on the reserve or it's the parking lot off the reserve, but it does include the parking. This costs $93 per adult and $50 per child. We did not do this. We're staying elsewhere, obviously, so we just did the day pass.
And I think the lodging is a hostel, isn't it?
I'm not really sure about the lodging. We didn't do a whole lot of research on it. We just knew that we weren't going to stay there. So you might want to look at that. It could be a great option if you're staying from night to night in Costa Rica.
And very inexpensive. It's
Very.
3 meals plus lodging.
And the pictures look really nice
yeah,
of the lodging.
they look really nice. They also offer a daily entry fee for self-guided tours. The entrance to the park costs $25 for adults and it's $12 for children 6 to 12. Also, they offer 3 different guided tours.
The first one is a bird tour. That tour happens from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. daily, which is the optimum time to see birds. That tour also includes breakfast and is $85 a person, so it's well worth it.
And that does include the entry fee. The second tour is a natural history tour. This is the tour that we plan to do, and they have different times throughout the day. They have a tour at 7:30 a.m., 11:30 a.m., and 1:30 a.m. And I think these are 2-hour tours.
Right.
And the cost for this tour is $45 for adults and $32 for kids under 12.
And the focus of this tour is it's natural history. So, I mean, it includes birds, it doesn't focus on birds, but it pretty much includes everything. Insects, trees, leaves, the processes within the forest, the different layers of the forest. Our kids loved it. I mean, it was like a 2-hour in-depth history, science lesson in the jungle. Then the third option they have, which if we would have had a little bit more time to spend, I think all of us talked about how awesome this would have been, and it's night tours. Night tours, I believe, begin around 5:45, 6 o'clock, And those tours cost $23. And I think that's for kids and adults. I think it's the same price. But they take you out there in the jungle, and everybody has headlamps on, and you get to see all of the nocturnal animals.
And I read that a lot of the cats, like...
Yeah, there's several species of cats that live in the jungle. So you just have a lot more opportunities to see some of the mammals that are pretty much only nocturnal animals. That would be the benefit of doing a night tour.
Let's talk about parking real quick. You can no longer park at the reserve entrance. There's only one road into the reserve, and the parking lot is well before the entrance. Once you pull into the parking lot, you catch a little tram that takes you up to the entrance. You pay to park $5, and the shuttle takes you right up to the entrance. We talked a little bit earlier about the different ways you can visit the reserve. We chose the natural history tour that included a guide. We scheduled the 11:30 tour because where our house was about 3 hours away. So we thought 11:30 would be a perfect time for us to take our tour, and it was. Our group consisted of us 6 plus another family of 4, and one of those was a baby. They purposely scheduled these groups very small so that everyone has a chance to see everything and interact with the guide.
Right.
He took time to let us all look through his telescope, and he even took our camera phones and put them on the telescopes.
Right, a lot of the pictures and videos you see are actually through that telescope. So we want to give you some pros and cons for either having a guide or not having a guide. It's really just a personal choice, okay? So some pros for not having a guide. Obviously, it's a lot less expensive. You pay the day pass, you don't pay the tour guide, so it's a lot less expensive to go out and just do your own guided tour. Also, I mean, you're going at your own pace. You can slow down if you want to stop somewhere and really spend some time looking. It's self-paced, self-guided. So, I mean, you can spend hours and hours and hours out there, you know, just your family or you by yourself, whatever. So I guess there's probably maybe a little bit more freedom to do what you want to do if you don't have a guide.
Another pro for no guide is the trails are marked very well. You don't have to worry about getting lost or anything like that, and they'll have a map.
And they're very well defined. I mean, you can't really get off the trail. If you get off the trail, you know you're off the trail. So
and you can tell it's a trail. It's not like just
right.
some little.
It's not just a little path through the woods. I mean, they're very well defined, as you'll see in some of the video.
And the terrain isn't difficult, so it makes it easy to walk, easy to hike. Some pros for a guide is the excitement and passion that these guides have. It's just contagious, and it makes you really appreciate the beauty and nature.
And these are naturalist scientists, so these guys know what they're talking about. I mean, these are not just guys they randomly hire on the street. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying for a guided nature tour, scientific tour,
they know their stuff.
These guys know what they're talking about. They know the processes, and they're incredibly well educated. So, you know, you get a lot of information with a guided tour. Our guide was one of our favorite people that we met while we were in Costa Rica.
He was so passionate. He was so passionate about the nature and the animals and all the plants. And it just really showed in his
attitude, his enthusiasm. And it was absolutely infectious with our boys. I mean, they were engaged the entire time. They asked questions. And
I'm sure all the guides are awesome and
no
amazing.
doubt. But we like Felix. But I will say this, you know, as we're going along, as we were, you know, looking at different things and they were engaging him, his passion grew even more because he had an audience that really cared about what he was saying. And so he listened to us. Our boys wanted to see spiders. There were certain things, snakes, there were certain things that they wanted to see. And so he took that extra time to really look and find those extra things that he may not have paid attention to, I don't know, if we weren't enthused and engaged and asking questions.
And I thought it was crazy how he just had an eye for things. He saw things that we never would have seen had we not been with him.
It was pretty amazing. And you can tell, I mean, they run some really good tours. I mean, these guys go out, I think, early in the day. It's what it seemed like. They have radio, so they're radioing back and forth when they find something and discover something, a tour ahead of us or a guide ahead of us.
They share with the other guys.
Yeah, they share it back, and so they can be looking for it along the way. And so that's how they communicate back and forth. about where different things are being located and found. So while the trails are certainly easy to navigate and you can go do that, I mean, you can get a field guide of some kind and identify plants and all those kind of things. The jungle is incredibly dense.
And it's hard to see anything in the jungle.
I couldn't imagine going by myself trying to find anything. Even if I had a really good picture, a good guide, like a book guide, I could not imagine going out there and trying to discover the things that we were able to see without having a set of eyes that actually knew what they were looking for. So there are some definite pros. Obviously, we chose the guide, so we lean toward that. But you do what's right for your family, for your budget. But we're certainly in favor of having a guide.
There are over 400 species of birds, including the Resplendent Quetzel, 160 species of amphibians and reptiles, and over 3,000 plants found in the reserve.
As we walked along the well-groomed path, we stopped over and over to discover the amazing animals and plants that we would never have seen if not for our guide's ability to spot and direct our attention.
We want to wrap this episode up with some general tips you'll need to know before you go. Number 1, there are no bathrooms along the trails in the reserve. At the main entrance, you'll have access to a cafeteria, gift shop, and bathrooms.
Number 2, wear comfortable closed-toe shoes and appropriate hiking clothes.
Number 3, bring a backpack with a light rain jacket, just in case.
Number 4, bring plenty of water and store it in your backpack.
Number 5, we would recommend binoculars. We didn't have them, but they would definitely have been handy.
Number 6, if you're traveling in the rainy season, we advise to get there early. We were visiting at the peak of the dry season in early March, and the weather was perfect. But you never know. It is a forest in a tropical area, and it's in the clouds, so you need to be prepared for rain.
Number 7, while in the park, stay on the trail. Respect and honor the amazing years of work and dedication to preserve and provide this spectacular piece of earth for our enjoyment.
Number 8, bring your camera. We had our cell phones and GoPros out the whole time to capture the moments. Just remember the potential for rain and humidity. For delicate cameras, you may want to consider plastic bags and some silica gel packs to pull moisture out of your equipment just in case it gets wet.
Number 9, please don't litter. This should be obvious, but please, please, please don't even bring anything with you that you could leave behind.
Number 10, open your eyes. Look up, look down, stay alert, and you'll be captivated around every single corner. As a final thought, we would highly recommend that you spend an entire day exploring the Monteverde cloud forest and all of its area.
Yes.
Like we said before, we had a 3-hour drive there and a 3-hour drive back. And that really, I guess, kind of put a hamper on our time for...
On our next trip, we will more carefully plan where we stay.
Right.
Because there are so many other things to do in this area that we just didn't have time to do because we were 3 hours away.
Right. 6 hours driving in a day, and we didn't want to add too many things just to make it stressful. Like we said, we like to slow down and really take in the thing that we're doing. We just wish we would have had probably at least another, beyond just our tour, about another 3 or 4 hours there at the reserve.
To explore the other trail.
That was our trip, so we do recommend just having some extra time to stay there even after your tour if you decide to do a tour.
Each day of our trip ended with reflections from our day's adventures. Our senses had been overwhelmed in Monteverde. As we made our way down the winding road from the park, we stopped in to eat at Don Louis Grill and Pizza.
While this was one of the most expensive meals we had on our trip, it was well worth it. The food was absolutely fantastic. The service was perfect, but the conversation around our family's table was full of laughter and awe as we recounted the day's adventures.
Setting out into the wide expanses of our world provides a dazzling stage to appreciate the handiwork of God and lean into the scientific wonders discovered by our fellow humans. For our family, this day was truly a fusion of natural science and spiritual reflection as we roamed through the mystical forest of Monteverde.
Days like this give meaning and richness to our dreams. They inspire us to explore further and deeper into the boundaries of life. These days create within us a desire for simplicity and freedom.
Don't forget to like this video and please subscribe to our Rhodes Rules channel. And always remember, life is a journey. You hold your mat.